Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Wednesday, October 22nd, stock edition of Trading Trends. Another incredible day in the market. A lot happened. I'm still left feeling very, very bullish. Like I said, today is single stocks day, and you notice the quantum computing space has absolutely gone up in smoke, giving up mostly about a third of their value in the past week. We'll take a look at the charts. Of course, it directly corroborates with the year's best winners. So I think it's perfectly normal and okay when you take a little bit off the absolute superstar. These are up to over 2,000% in some cases. So let's take a look. We'll share the doc and we'll see if we get some trade ideas. So let's do it. All right, so here we're gonna obviously the big trade today. I'm not talking about the Beyond Meat, which was an absolute joke. That was beyond a joke. If you guys saw that, 2 billion shares traded because of a meme joke. But anyways, Netflix off by 10% today. That dragged the Qs a little bit lower by the tune by about 1%. But there was redness everywhere. I will talk about other stocks. Full disclosure: the wife works for Netflix, so. Probably just better things to discuss. So we'll just move on. There's a lot to get to anyway. So we'll get to Texas Instruments. That dragged down semis 6% alone. Hot 8. The crypto miners really got hurt here. Fully believe crypto, a dip, then a rip. It's usually how you get paid in crypto volatility. Hot 8 dropped 17%. The chart had been doing very well. GLXY also very well, especially off of earnings yesterday. And that is lower by 13% today. In the more industrial classic space, new all-time highs today for General Motors. Not really huge in the crypto game. Last I checked, Gilead, also not huge in the crypto game, and American Express, which one day they will be. But so new all-time highs for those more blue chip and a scientific company. So let's get into the charts, starting, of course, with the mighty SPY. We'll start macro, and then we'll get into some of these crazy single stock movers. If you like what we're saying, subscribe and please drop a ticker in there, and we'll take a look. A lot of stuff has moved today. So let's get into the panel first. All right. So first, we concentrate on some moves. I already said Netflix closed down 10% here. Bitcoin off by 3% here, live to 107K, 107 and change. They sold today and asked questions later. Amazon down 2%, Apple down about 1.5%. IWM, they took down small caps 1.5%. AMD down 3%. Palantir down 3%, although it was down more than that. Ethereum's down 4% here, and the IBIT BlackRock ETF for Bitcoin down 3.5%. So they zoom out here. Let's get into the intraday action first on SPY. So here is the open. It was pretty much sellers from the get-go. I was not really certain. I was really looking at the technicals here to see if we were going to get a rally here. And you got the ultimate low at 130. We got all the way to 663 in SPY. And then I knew 666 was going to be a battle to be contended with. And look at that, by 330. To me, a very powerful bullish day, even today. A very, very powerful thrust to me from 663 all the way to 667. We closed at VWAP by the end of the day. I've been bullish. I said it was going to be fits and starts and frustrating. That's pretty much how you get paid in markets. I think this was pretty bullish action to me. As I zoom out and I go with the call that we've been sticking with, I said we're going to hug and straddle right around the 664 area. Today we got to the low of 663, still in line. I still say we're going to have to put that 664 as a blanket beneath us first, secure that for at least several days, and then I do believe we'll head towards that 680, 683 mark in early November. And each day that it closes above, as I said, right about above that 664 mark, we'll be very, very confident building into the market across spec stocks. The blue chips here that you're seeing all-time highs. I really don't have much more to say except the market looks absolutely strong to me. Still looks like it's very much well recovery, and just obviously the froth, which even your Uber driver could tell you the market was a little bit frothy when he's talking about stock picks, then some has to be purged. Let's get into some stocks, and I'll show you exactly what I mean if some of the setups are similar or not. Not all stocks went down today. We'll look at some big multiple standard deviation movers. Boston Scientific today up 4%. That is a big move. Not quite a new high for that peaked back September 9th at 109.5, but today is the first time it's thrust above a rising 200-day moving average for the first time since September 15th. Absolutely love it. Look at that candle, 4% on a day like today, too, contending with its highest RSI it's had all year before being overbought back in February. What can you say? This chart looks absolutely great. And, healthcare hasn't been on fire. This is healthcare equipment, which has been doing well. I personally don't want to chase this here. Great, giving it its flowers. I love a rising 200-day moving average. Always want to give that. And a very nice hold of $95 on the chart. But I don't want to chase this towards 105. To be frank, more than that 102 mark is going to have to be something to be wrestled with a little bit. So I don't want to chase it too much here. A great chart. Overall, to the bullishness, I don't want to get in a sell calls atmosphere, but possibly if you still want to get long the name, you could sell the 101 half put, see what that will pay you. But this stock looks like it's now based. It's closed that underneath 100. Now it looks to be off to the races in a bit. I don't want to chase it. In terms of entry, risk reward, about $99 would be really a great entry. I don't think you're going to get much better than 102 though. So I probably like selling the puts if it pays you. And look at this, healthcare, which has been kicking it for too long. Energy, which has really been sleeping. This is SLB in the oil names. Look at that chart. Absolutely, basically the inverse of what we were seeing. This peaked last November at $45, and as we all know, energy has been not the place to be. SLB, last I checked, this is the old Schlumberger. These guys are huge. Yeah, $50 billion company here in the energy equipment game. Digital integration, reservoir for performance. This still has, to me, another good week to go. I see a lot of charts like this, especially in this industry. And I think due to the overall bullishness of the market, I like the RSI above 50. It hasn't been doing that for too long, ever since early September. Looks like it's going to be magnetized towards the 200 moving average. And I'm a firm believer of every squirrel gets a nut in this market. And it's a big roulette wheel. They're having bonds at 52-week highs. You got GM at all-time highs, and Bitcoin just a couple, rocks throw away, which I think it'll get there within 2 weeks. This looks like it wants to get to about right to that 200-day moving average. I don't think it might meerkat and touch it right at 36.5, but my level, to be frank, is 36.30. Just inside that, you get a little bit of vol expansion, and it should go right underneath that. This thing hasn't tangled with a 200-day since basically St. Patty's Day, when it had a 43 handle. So a beautiful run from 32 to 30, right around 36. I think would be a great time to take profits. Congrats if you're in this energy name, energy trade. I know it's been a very frustrating chart. I don't buy stuff like this. In fact, when it gets here, I very likely would love to sell calls there. Just be careful, because I'm pretty bullish the market. I think you can get very strong up days in a row, and calls like that would absolutely be wiped out. And here, speaking of all-time highs, Amphenol Corp, these equipment name, up 3.5%, almost 4% to new all-time highs. This had a lot of trading today. They're in the electronic equipment, fiber optic connector business. Pretty big name, $150 billion on $20 billion revenue, so a big PE there. Great looking chart. Obviously today, new all-time highs. They rejected that. It's crazy. Someone bought 137s here on the day, and you end up seeing it close 129. Basically to say this was a lot higher. Also notice the gross divergence here. This had spent crazy from May all the way through basically August 1st being overbought. Absolutely amazing. Just Saquon Barkley-like run. And then here, beautiful rising 200-day moving average. This stock hasn't had hard times since basically Easter, when the U.S. stock 52-week lows back here at 57 handle. And now here at 129. The divergence here, RSI couldn't even scrape 62. That tells me the stock is totally not ready for 137. And if anything, it might have to spend a little bit more time here at 124. If you're able to get in at 124 and some volatility, that is an absolutely great entry, because I do believe it's headed to 130 in about 2 to 3 weeks' time. So an amazing move for Amphenol, new all-time highs for that company. Let's look at the losers. That's pretty much what dominated the day. So let's go into that. Texas Instruments has dragged down the entire semi-space, down nearly 6%. Texas Instruments. We sent a lot of investment into Taiwan in the past week. We're today going to take a close look at Texas Instruments. So this name peaked here back in July at $222. The 200-day moving average had been support just up until Labor Day. And then really it is now resistance. And look at that right here. Nobody wanted to bid this thing up above 50 RSI. Technicals do mean something, and the internals do mean something. And they, of course, reported earnings yesterday, and now not such a great outlook, down 6%. This is a tough one because I have my animal spirits in the market wanting to pull rising tides lifting all ships. So I believe that overall, like I said yesterday, Druckenmiller said, pretty much 70% is the macro, how to get a stock right. 20% is the space in the sector, and then 10% is the actual stock. So Texas Instruments, I think, might go with where the big whale takes it. That being said, it does have, pretty decent resistance here for sure at 186. I'm talking about just holding above 180. I haven't been able to see it really do that since since early September. So that's its first hurdle, but I do think this may run out of gas at 186. Pretty crazy to see a semiconductor name with a sliding 200 moving average that is not even above 50 RSI since September 2nd. So this one has been in the penalty box for 7 weeks, and I still think it is. And earnings do have a way of confirming moves. I don't want to bid this right here. And the low today was 163. Ended up closing near the highs, which is a good sign. VWAP was 169. They closed at 170.5. That's a decent sign in that the 163 I believe should hold, but I do think you're going to pong here at 186 ceiling. So tough trade there in Texas Instruments. A bad day, a multiple standard deviation mover. Let's look at even a bigger drop in the crypto miners. This is a massive move here. They were really penalized today. This thing is coming off of recent highs, October 15th at $57 and a big plunge lower. This thing's down 17% today alone. Crypto moves. The Bitcoin miners obviously then move as well. Hut, in case you don't know, is a Bitcoin miner, and they're an energy infrastructure play, and they're a $5 billion company, and they have some revenue, about $125 million. Crypto's had many fits and starts this past couple of weeks. You see it hanging in, and we've talked about it on the show. The low today touched the the 50-day moving average. Kind of rare for this stock. It hasn't done it since August, down 18%. That's crazy to give a fifth of your company back in one day, and that's how the Bitcoin miners move here. The lowest RSI registered for Hut 8 in quite a while, 45.5. This is the lowest. So to me, the worst has been for this name, and really a good poster child for the crypto miners, especially coming off highs. We'll look at GLXY, but this is just coming off of the 2 weeks off of the 52-week low. So it is in the dumps here. I'm not so sure it's done. This one really moves like a fat person on a trampoline to the downside and up. I think this moves to about maybe a little bit lower to about, looks like it wants to touch about $33, which would be quite lower from here. I give this about another 10 days or so to shake out. I'm curious where the RSI and the price settles, but the Bitcoin miners, not the place to be. Let's see if we gather some intelligence from the other ones. If you believe the name, you want to get long it. Again, I don't think a safe level, and you could really probably get paid off these is maybe you sell the 30 puts. I'd be curious what those pay, maybe a week or 2 weeks out, if you really do believe in getting long the name. Again, this thing was at $57 7 days ago. So life comes at you fast. The next one I was just talking about, aforementioned, GLXY, down 13% today. We were just talking this one up on Spaces the other day. They had marvelous earnings. It sent the company up 8% yesterday to new all-time highs, and today it was just not in the right area. Bitcoin miner related, and it's down 13%. We'd have been talking about yesterday, this thing has been so extended. I had hoped that would give you a decent entry, and I put out the level. I said under $38. We are at $37 now after this 13% plunge. You still want to give the other one, maybe the first one in the burning house. I want to give a little bit of bit of the doubt to see the dust settle. This could plunge lower to as low as 33, but it has been an extremely strong name. But it could be still have 50.5 RSI. Earnings were yesterday. Pretty wild doji there, setting it above 45, 46 to all-time highs. The actual high was $46, and today 37. And just give this a little bit of the time to shake out. If you're in under $38, I do believe that risk reward will reward you in about 2 to 3 weeks time when crypto finally does wake up. And I do believe the target for this will be back to that $45, $46. So if you're in under 38, 37, call spreads pop out to me. You can also do verticals, long Decembers, sell something 2 weeks out. Considering it looks like crypto may need a little bit more time, and there's also volatility here with mega cap tech earnings across the board. Tesla reporting right now. We'll take a look at that in a little bit. I think it was up 1% last I checked. They're still reporting it now. But this one under $38, I think will reward you. GLXY, a nasty, nasty day, down 13%. All right, let's look at some of the things that have been crushing it in the past week. Top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. It's not just Schlumberger that had a big move today. Look at this one. They flocked into Halliburton, a big recovery at the end of September. It was a big 7% day that did it here. And these guys had earnings yesterday, send it up 11.5%, and they're still not done today, up 4.25%. I've been poo-pooing on energy for a long time due to U.S., just crude barrel levels, as well as investment in XLE and some of the mega cap or the larger oil fields. But this looks like a beautiful breakout here in Halliburton. I don't want to chase it here, but if you can get in, I mean, the earnings thrust was really, really massive. If you can get in, this 200-day moving average is still sliding lower. It should stabilize. It's going down by about a penny a day. It should stabilize, and that's at 23. There's your support. That would be an amazing entry, 23 to even $24. I don't want to chase this too much here, though. It does have a little bit of overhead to tangle with right at 27. So you maybe have another 70 cents or so. The high today was 26.61. It looks like they were almost upset that the bell rang. They want to buy some more. This is approaching overbought territory for the first time since September. A good sign. There is energy in Halliburton. It's had the best week of any stock with parameters being at least 10 million shares traded and at least $20 share price. So, and it's been a crazy week. They flocked into Halliburton. Let's see what else. This comes off the back of today. General Motors, there's an old company. It's not old, just new tech. And you like to see that breadth. New all-time highs in GM, up 1% today. They had earnings yesterday up 15%. I guess they're putting AI in the cars, and I don't know, it does lots of things for you. But a beautiful looking chart here, rising 200-day, total momentum breakout. Do not want to chase it again, but if you're getting the message here, overall very bullish the market here. I think you got a good about 2-3% upside in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that's going to be reflected, I think, across sectors broadly. Here, full target for GM to me is about $64 to $65. I think people are a little bit too excited, and that is explanatory here from the highest volume traded in GM all year. So pretty much everyone that wants to be in likely is in. I bet you the top is probably in short term at that 67.58 for maybe a little bit, maybe a few days. But a great entry for this is likely closer to $59. So some stuff got away. You had a chance on this one for a long time, just until these earnings 2 days ago. That's GM. New all-time highs today. I remember when they were getting bailouts and 08 and all that. Now they're $60 billion company and new all-time highs. Next, WBD. This is Discovery, a new 52-week high. So there's catch-up trades abound in this. The prior highs for this go back a couple of years to April 22 at $27. Here's a new 52-week high approaching overbought. It is 3. This is up 12%. So in terms of the leaders, Halliburton up 18, GM just a smidge behind it, up 16, and then Discovery up 11.5%. Here's the chart. Beautiful looking chart, especially since June, and a nice breakout here above $12. It tested it there again in mid-August. And then, wow, a massive day on in September, up 29%, and no looking back here, a new 52-week high. Yeah, this is Warner Brothers Discovery. They own the studios, network, direct-to-consumer, $50 billion market cap. Full target, very great looking chart. Full target for me is right around here at honestly 20.5. So I don't want to chase this either. I think it has a little bit of zigs and zags in the next week, but it still benefits, and overall there will be a bullish accumulation here. I'd rather have this correct in terms of time versus price. I think it's kind of hit its head. You see that rejection here at 21.25, at least for the day. I think it has to spend a little bit of time, probably right around that 1970 to 20 region. But the reason why we're talking about it is had the third best week of any stock, Discovery. So I don't think I've ever said that sentence ever. So Halliburton, GM, and Discovery is the list. I've never had that comprise the top 3 stocks on the show. I like to see that. Tells me the pie, it just has bigger to go, and the wheel continues to spin as we continue to go higher. This part I want to keep a little bit not so concentrated, but it was very hard to do because the quantum computing space went up in smoke. Google has apparently their Willow chip that can kill different parts of the quantum complex. Also, a momentum trade has gone awry in many areas of the market. So it's not quantum computing specific, but this is the forefront. This is D-Wave Quantum. It is down 15% today. It's down 38% in the past 5 days. That's an average of about 8% a day. Today, 2x that. It looks like it's not done. The lowest RSI it's had since August. Just really astonishing, dramatic. 7 days ago, this was $47. Today, it is $26. This isn't the call option 0DTE. This is the common. So this is why you have to allocate appropriately. And Bitcoin has barely moved. So always be just careful on that. And earnings are, I believe, coming up for this name in a few weeks, in about 2 weeks. So this is an $11 billion valuation now on basically no revenue. I think OK Low had a bad write-up in the Financial Times or something. They Google mapped the address and it looked like it was like connected to a Subway restaurant, and there was absolutely no quantum computing being done out of there. And the CEO sold a lot of stock. I think he's all out or something. So there's a lot of a little bit of confidence shaken, but look at the RSI on this thing. This had been standing room only. We actually highlighted this stock. Let me see. We highlighted back October 1st. So I'll drag a candle right here. The stock was at $25, and to me, it was still overdone. I said I want to get it at around 22.5. Well, look at that. It took about a month or so, and here we are at 26. So now what? Similar to what we were talking about with Galaxy and Hut 8, let the dust settle on this kind of momentum trade. I think the floor on this could be, I don't think the 200-day moving average is in jeopardy. This is an ugly candle that had really 5 ugly candles in a row. Every day at 4 o'clock, literally you can see people yelling here to me saying, no, but I want to sell some. So that's what the chart is telling me. No one's saying, I feel bad for the schmuck that paid $46 on October 15th, because now I can get, basically 2 for 1. So this is continuing rising, but this is the last time also I looked at stochastic momentum index. It had a give back was like this back from May. It went from $19 to $13, and you only think, oh, that's 6 points. That's a very big percentage give back. And right here, we're talking about 40% given back as well. It's done. It has a rise to 200 moving average. I always give a superstar a bad grade. That's okay. I think they'll improve. The floor, like I said, for this will probably be around $21 to $22. You have to see these candles get smaller. If today was down 15% day, I need to see this down at least less than 7, and then less than 3, and then sideways, and then maybe an up 10 bip day, and then the floor is in. Most likely thing is tomorrow is an inside day, something an inside a 7% move. So let's see. But the RSI is absolutely nose diving off the all-time highs here on October 15th at astonishing $47. Yeah. So if you can get in at $22, let the dust settle next week, and I would buy the common. Just be careful with the calls. No reason really to buy, 33 strike calls. At that point, if you get in at a steal at $22, I would at that point probably just buy, 24 calls going out to December. I don't think the story has really changed due to maybe it's connected to like a 7-Eleven. I'd have to read more about that. But I'm looking at the chart here. This is a purge. This is someone getting a little bit too drunk and having to vomit and be a little bit hungover and need their medicine before they get back on track. That's what that chart looks like to me. But all that being said, this is the worst stock. If you're holding this week, your hands do not feel good. Down 38%, QBTS, the worst stock of all. The rest are going to be correlated. It's Rigetti Computing down just about the same. Look at that. Basically the same exact chart. Ugly candles. They're flocking out of it for just right now. This is down 35%. We were talking about this. Actually, this had a cleaner setup. We highlighted this the other day. Rigetti, obviously, one of the absolute superstars in the entire stock market. We highlighted this one. Hold on here. October 1st. We liked the quantum stocks on October 1st. And we said 29, where stock that day was trading at $30. We said that it was way too far. I said I like it better at 25 with your risk. And it just continued zooming all the way to $58. And then here we are now continuing to go lower today, down 10%. It's still far too much. This can settle down at about This could go as low as about $27. So this could go maybe another 20% over the next, 5-10 days. So the bullishness for the market, I don't think is going to come from these specific spec stocks. Even ARC got hit today. Let's see if they get the bump up later after hours from Tesla rise. But we're talking about specifically about these quantum computing momentum trade that have gone up in smoke right now. Also, just wanted to say 45 RSI still holding for a superstar like Rigetti, as it has since March 31st. Rising 200-day, hasn't even thought about touching it since last Thanksgiving. That's an absolute LeBron, Cleveland Cavaliers prime superstar number. Nothing wrong with it. Let the dust settle. It's got the second worst stock of any stock this week. It's hurting. Give it a little bit of time, and then you should invest in it. And then the next one, we haven't highlighted this one in a while. Nuscale Power down the same percent. This one a little bit of a different chart. Just in terms of the other two, the quantum computer stocks were really up and to the right. This had a prior top at the end of July, and then just recently, 6 days ago, eclipsed it to new highs. That being said, still down a third, or exactly 35% over the past 5 days, or an average of 7%. Today down 9.5%. You need to see these candles get much smaller. This is coming very close to its 200-day moving average. I do believe it should hold. If you get in at $30, I do think that's a good risk reward level here. These guys are in the electrical equipment game. They do the modular reactor tech solutions out of Oregon at a $13 billion valuation, and they only make $56 million. So basically pre-revenue name. This chart looks, to me, this chart looks a little bit worse. The other one had at least recent strength, and I kind of like that vomiting more. This I kind of want to stay away from for about a week and a half or so, as it looks more sure to me than the other ones, as it will tag or come closer to its 200 moving average. Also, it did that more recently, just back in May, whereas Rigetti hasn't even thought about it since last Thanksgiving, and I give props and flowers where they're due. So this one I have on a much tighter leash. That being said, after 10 days, should you be able to get in at 30? I do think that will reward you when these stocks come back into focus. Right now, they are not in vogue. Okay, and then this is almost poetic, my favorite part, the top 3 trades of the past year. Now, this is going to be opposite day, because guess what? We're going to look at the exact same trades, or the exact same stocks we just looked at. So they just took a little bit of whipped cream off the top. Your top stock of the entire year, what do you know? It's a stock that had the second worst week of any stock, with the S&P basically 1% away from all-time highs, volatility within 10% of all-time lows. And you get this name shedding, as we just said, 35% in the past 5 days. Really? You know what it's done in the past year? 2,856%. I said 2,856%. The stock last Thanksgiving was $1. Okay. And right here, as I checked, even today, after this plunge, it's down $35. I give a lot of respect where it is due. This is an absolutely stupendous chart across anything, across any asset. And it's a $13 billion cap. I think, like I said, once the dust settles on this, and today is Wednesday, I would probably get us into early to mid next week. If you're able to get into this at about $27, to me would be a gift. It could be headed there given the other charts that we've seen, but this has a better profile. This rarely dips to its 50-day moving average. It hasn't done that since below $18. So we're talking, it was almost like a different regime back there before this whole reset here, before this overbought period. But it could very well visit those levels again, and I think it'll pay you handsomely if you get in around that $26, $27 region. Give it about a week for this to shake out. This is your top stock in the entire market over a year. We're getting up 58.56%. Number 2, basically the same thing, and it's had the worst week of any stock, is QBTS, up 22.26. So just a paltry 2,200% compared to Rigetti. You don't need to be in all these names, but when they set up in about 5 to 7 days, you want to be in the higher quality ones. Rigetti is a high quality one. Obviously, D-Wave here is a higher quality one. Let this shake out as well. Let me move that cursor there. This one looks like it wants to tag $23. If it gets there, I think you will be rewarded. $23 to $22. Again, just coinciding with the prior breakout here for this stock, specifically above $20 before it entered its overbought registrations on September 16th, just ending it the day of the all-time highs on October 15th. So everyone wants to get out for right now. There's still early innings in the quantum game. I'm sure even if Google has a solution to it, I think you would see Bitcoin cave and a lot of things happen tangentially. It's a little bit different. I still am a buyer of the story. Absolute, I think a great level for this, as I said, is $22. You might get it in about a week's time. Your second best stock of the entire year, D-Wave Quantum Inc. And then your third best stock, I mean, it's crazy. It's another quantum computing stock. These are all on aggressive sale. These are all literally like Macy's, which is at a 52-week high today. So a lot more breadth. That stock used to be a joke. Quantum computing, this is an interesting chart. These names are all 35% off in the past week. 35% off. So if you don't need a financial advisor to tell you, it's literally these names are 35% off from this week. This is a very interesting chart too. So this has not tangled with its 200-day moving average either since last November. But interesting enough, this peaked last December. If you recall, the Fed cut that day. This stock was up 53%. It was insane. It went from 17 to 27 that day, and it peaked that day. It came very close a couple of weeks ago. It went to $26, and really this thing has gotten to Chembade all the way here to 14.5. It is your third best stock of the entire year, up 1,200% though. Your 200-day moving average, and again, you talked about the respect I give to a rising 200-day moving average. This is starting to go lower. So this, to me, and that's why I like to have the intermarket and even interstock interpretation charts. This is no longer, with prior highs, and some algos just search for that, but with more recent highs and momentum, of course, this peaked 10 months ago. So here and now it has a falling 200-day moving average. It's interesting to me to still see it on the top 3 stocks list. This will fall away. There's also other names that have had momentum that have fallen away. You have falling moving averages here for about a week. I'm looking at it because this should stabilize here at 1296. That should give you a good entry, but this thing has been trying to find at least 5 days of stabilization, but it's been hurt by friendly fire. I mean, being just in the wrong spaces. This thing was at $23 last week, and here we're talking 14.5. I think Rigetti and QBTS are better. Some people like the lower price stocks. Like I said, this is up 1,200% in the past year. I think your risk is controlled at that 200-day moving average of $13 as it tries to etch a recovery towards $18, and that's a big move, 13 to 18. And that's my call on that. A little bit more risk involved with the QUBT, although I just don't love a falling 200-day moving average, and the stock has only had 2 green days since October the 10th, and that's not so bueno. This needs a little bit of more time. All right, thank you for joining. We will talk to you on Friday with an ETF wrap-up to wrap up this crazy week. Peace.